Welcome to the Equipped Disciple channel. My name is Rick McClatchy. I will be your host. We are here to be and to make disciples of Jesus, and we do that through daily devos, through Sunday sermons, and through other discipleship resources. We are here to equip you to be an equipped disciple. All right, welcome into another day of your daily devos. I'm Pastor Rick, and we are finishing up Genesis chapter 31 today. We got a bunch of verses to cover, so we're going to just jump right in. This is the final showdown. It's the final showdown. Jacob and Laban. What's gonna happen? So here we go. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. It took him 3 days to figure out that Jacob was out of there. Weird, man. Okay. And so verse 23, so he took his relatives with him, pursued Jacob for 7 days, and overtook him in the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream that at night, watch yourself, God warned him. Watch yourself. Don't say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. When Laban overtook Jacob, Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban and his relatives also pitched their tents in the hill country of Gilead. Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You have deceived me and taken my daughters away like prisoners of war. Why did you secretly flee from me, deceive me, and not tell me? I would have sent you away with joy and singing, with tambourines and lyres." Liar, liar, pants on fire, Mr. Laban, sir, hanging from a telephone wire or something, like, come on, man. No, that's not how you would have behaved. We're pretty sure about that. Verse 28, but you didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters. You have acted foolishly. I could do you great harm, but last night the God of your father said to me, watch yourself, don't say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. So what's up with Laban here exactly? What is he doing by, hey man, I could bring you great harm, bro. Come on. What's the point, man? God already told you not to touch him. So you're just posturing because you think Jacob's going to do something to you? Obviously, Jacob just wants to leave. He doesn't want to bop you on the head or anything. And so it's just interesting how this whole posturing thing is going on between the two of them. Now you've gone off because you long for your father's family. And why have you stolen my gods? And Jacob answered, I was afraid, for I thought you would take your daughters from me by force. And I just think it's an important one. Probably one of the most important principles, at least that I've drawn out of this section of scripture, is the decisions that Jacob made while he was afraid, and how oftentimes if we make decisions based on things that we are afraid of, a lot of times we end up making decisions that bring about the very things we fear. Because if you think about, Jacob has a chance of having a peaceful departure if he goes to Laban. Hey, here's what we're planning. Here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. So thank you so much. God bless you and keep you, whatever. He could go that path. But because he's afraid, he flees in the dark of night, essentially. 3 days, all of a sudden you realize your daughters and your grandchildren are all gone, and you didn't even get to say goodbye. I mean, you can understand why Laban is frustrated by this situation. And so because Jacob feared him and thought, he's going to take them away from me by force, it caused him to make decisions that were less than the best. Now, he does have God backing him up and telling Laban, watch yourself. So verse 32, if you find your gods with anyone here, he will not live. Before our relatives, point out anything that is yours and take it. Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the idols. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, Leah's tent, the tents of the two concubines, but he found nothing. When he left Leah's tent, he went into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken Laban's household idols, put them in the saddlebag of the camel, and sat on them. Laban searched the whole tent, but found nothing. She said to her father, don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence, for I am having my period. So Laban searched but could not find the household idols, because anything that a woman that was on her period would sit on would become unclean, and nobody was supposed to touch anything that they had sat on. And so she knew that was like her get out of jail free card. Then Jacob became incensed, verse 36, and brought charges against Laban. What is my crime? He said to Laban. What is my sin that you have pursued me? You searched all my possessions. Have you found anything of yours? Put it here before my relatives and yours. Let them decide between the two of us. I've been with you these 20 years. Your ewes and female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams from your flock. I did not bring in you any of the flock torn by wild beasts. I myself bore the loss. You demanded payment from me for what was stolen by day or by night. There I was. The heat consumed me by day, and the frost by night, and sleep fled from my eyes. For 20 years in your household I served you, 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 for your flocks, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, the fear of Isaac, had not been with me, certainly now you would have sent me off empty-handed. But God has seen my affliction and my hard work, and he issued his verdict last night. So he's understanding that his protection and everything is a result of God keeping his promises to him and protecting him. Then Laban answered Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, the children my children, and the flocks my flocks. Everything you see is mine. But what can I do today for these daughters of mine, for the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I. Let it be a witness between the two of us. So Jacob picked out a stone and set it up as a marker. Then Jacob said to his relatives, gather stones. And they took stones and they made a mound, and they ate there by the mound. Laban named the mound Jagar Sahadutha, but Jacob named it Galeed. Then Laban said, this mound is a witness between you and me today. Therefore the place was called Galeed, which means witness. And also Mizpah, for he said, may the Lord watch between you and me when we are out of each other's sight. If you mistreat my daughters or you take other wives, though no one is with us, understand that God will be a witness between you and me. So he's like, I'm watching you, man. God's watching you for me. And he's like, so, watch out. May the Lord watch between you and me while we are out of each other's sight. And then Laban also said to Jacob, look at this mound and this marker I have set up between you and me. This mound is a witness, and the marker is a witness that I will not pass beyond this mound to you, and you will not pass beyond this mound and this marker to do me harm. So we're like, hey, you stay on your side of the line, I'll stay on my side of the line. It's like being in the back of the car with mom and dad on the long road trip, and she's always crossing over the line and she's touching your arm, and you're like, look, stay on your side of the car. And so that's kind of the system that they set up here. They drew a line and they said, stay on your side. And so just as a little side note, verse 49 is like one of these commonly misinterpreted or whatever, misused scriptures in the Bible. I think there's even greeting cards and coffee cups that have, may the Lord watch between you and me when we are out of each other's sight. It's like this really sweet, kind scripture sounding thing when you can send that to someone. So say you live far apart from each other, and you can send them, hey, may the Lord watch between you and me when we're out of each other's sight. Well, okay. I mean, it doesn't mean the sentiment is wrong and bad. It just means you probably shouldn't put Genesis 31:49 behind it as kind of your like, yes, this is a Bible thing that we're doing, because they practically hated each other. I mean, that's what's going on here. So if you're not in that kind of a relational environment with someone, probably don't use that verse. You could probably find another great verse to encourage them with, while also saying, hey, may the Lord watch between you and me while we're apart from each other, while we're out of each other's sight. The God of Abraham, the gods of Nahor, the gods of their father, will judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. And then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain, and invited his relatives to eat a meal. So they ate a meal and spent the night on the mountain. And Laban got up early in the morning, kissed his grandchildren and daughters, and blessed them. And then Laban left to return home. So probably the biggest takeaway here is don't live your life based on fears. Let's live our lives based on our trust in God and his promises and what he has promised to do. And then living our lives full of integrity, because we get to see how God upheld his case and how he walked him through and how he protected him all along the way. not because Jacob was amazing and awesome, but because God is. And so I hope you're strengthened and encouraged today. God bless you. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.